Manchester United are said to be ready to submit a new massive whopping bid that could top £80 million for the Ajax and Brazilian inside forward stroke winger, depends on your language in the modern day game, Antony from Ajax. Bids have been turned down all summer for this exciting young player, but Manchester United, according to Sky Sports and now confirmed by Fabrizio Romano, will come back in for the brilliant Brazilian. Equally this morning, Chelsea Football Club have been confirmed by Gerard Romero to have made a £22 million bid for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Man United have been turned down in that pursuit. Aubameyang does not want to join them. It is now a straight choice. Stay at Barcelona or move to Chelsea Football Club. We're going to delve into that. We're going to touch on Casemiro, Christian Pulisic, and much, much more for you this morning on the Football Terrace. We are sponsored by OneFootball. Please download their app now using our exclusive link in the description, live comment section, or scan the QR code on the screen right now. This is the morning edition of the Done Deal Show. Let's go. Welcome back to the terrace. Good morning to each and every single one of you. I'm still enjoying my new toy, this new mic. Still learning how to use it properly as well. It's kind of weird. It's kind of gain up really loud for it to work. But the sound quality is better. I'm enjoying it. I'm liking it. I hope that you're all good. Lots to delve into and talk about this morning. But I want a little bit of fun first of all. Say a little bit of fun. I would like to know where people are watching around the UK and around the world. Let me know the city, stroke country that you're in this morning in the live comment sections, whether you're watching on Twitch, whether you're watching on Facebook, whether you're watching on YouTube or on Twitter. We want to hear from you today. I want to hear from you, my people. Good morning, Charlie. Hope you're well. Good morning, Georgie. Wherever you are in the world. OM, good morning to you. One of my members here, Ilias, good morning to you, my friend. By the way, I want to say this. If we hit 1,000 likes while we're live, we're going to gift away 50 free memberships. We've been a little bit lax with hitting those numbers on the likes recently. We need to do it. We've got more membership content being made today for you. The membership page is front and center now on the Community Football Terrace page as well. So get that sorted right about now. But lots of stories circulating today in relation to Man United and Chelsea. You know, Arsenal have pretty much done their business. Liverpool look like they're doing nothing more. Maybe Naby Keita leaves. City look all done and dusted for the summer, as do Tottenham. So it's Chelsea and it's Manchester United that are dominating the headlines. Both clubs still looking to complete anywhere from 2 to 5 deals, depending on what publications you listen to. And a story that kind of broke last night, which is very intriguing for a lot of people, is the situation surrounding Antony. So I'm going to read here this is what Sky Sport. I'm going to go through what Sky Sports had to say first of all, then Fabrizio Romano. I think both of these things are worth looking at. So, the headline from Sky and from Sky Sports was very much Man United are set to make a massive increased bid. When you actually go through what was said on Sky Sports, it said that Man United remain interested in signing Antony, the Ajax forward Antony, with an improved bid expected this week. The outlets say the offer will be massive. But the last offer submitted that was turned down was in the region of 70 million euros. And that followed a previous unsuccessful bid of 60 million euros. United's willingness to bid so high so soon is rumoured, led to Ajax increasing their asking price from 80 to 100 million euros. United are in desperate need of reinforcements up front, with still the future of Ronaldo unclear and all other attackers in dire form. There is therefore an expectation that a bid closer to 80 million euros with add-ons will be made. Sky Sports very, very clear here. They think Man United are going to be submitting a mammoth, a massive, a huge, a gargantuan bid for Antony. Fabrizio Romano, I want to read what he said and tweeted just a few hours ago. He stated that Man United plan an approach this week for Antony before the end of the window. The deal considered more than difficult as Ajax want to keep him. Cody Gakpo remains, it says here, remains an easier option in the list as Pulisic loan depends on Bowley. We'll touch on Pulisic. We can probably touch on Pulisic within this as well. It makes a lot of sense. Gakpo available. Gakpo wants to join, 35 million, but United are going back in for Antony. Clearly a player that Eric Ten Hag thinks is better. One of his earlier targets and whatnot. I'm personally not too sure about this deal. And when I say not too sure, I'm purely looking at this from a cost to quality ratio. Is Antony truly, genuinely 3.5 times the price? Is he really that much better than Cody Gakpo? That is the big question for Man United fans to ask. Now, if he comes in and he scores a lot, creates a lot, and gives Man United a new dimension up front, then yes, he is worth it. He'll be worth it, and nobody will ever talk about the price again. If he comes in and is inconsistent, if he comes in and he doesn't score, if he comes in and doesn't work, then it's another huge hemorrhaging of cash. Personally, I think United need both Gakpo and Antony, but we know there isn't the money under this ownership to spread that far. And Christian Pulisic is such an interesting one because Pulisic wants to join Manchester United. Christian Pulisic is not happy with life at Chelsea. Pulisic wants regular game time. He wants almost a bit of a rebirth, as it were, explained yesterday very eloquently by Ben Jacobs. So that's a potential move for Man United. But of course, it's a risky move for Man United. Chelsea, if they do this loan deal, don't want to include an option to buy that United have control over. United are not going to put an obligation to buy into the deal in case the player spends the season injured or it doesn't work. You don't then want to be obligated to buy a player such as him. So a loan move becomes risky. If the loan move is successful, then all Man United would essentially be doing in the medium term is getting a Chelsea player back on track and ready and firing and able to go into a Chelsea team and deliver. And that's something that Man United currently appear reluctant to do. They don't want to be seen as, building up Chelsea's team, making Chelsea's team better, making Chelsea's team stronger, as it were, without controlling the situation. So that is a difficult deal for Man United to get done for different reasons. Todd Bowley is a little bit reluctant to let him leave Chelsea as well. I think, look, listen, there's a lot of US connections now at Chelsea, a lot of investors at Chelsea from the USA. And I think one of the strategies of delivering money for the football club was leveraging, America's star boy in Christian Pulisic from a commercial angle. To lose him would be a little blow, not a massive blow, but a little blow to the commercial element at Chelsea Football Club. And of course, if he goes at 23 and he turns his career around at Man United and they have a very good option to buy and they do it, again, it could work in reverse for Chelsea. You then have a player that's ignited at Manchester United more so than he is ever did at Chelsea. So it's a really, really interesting kind of situation right now in terms of Man United's attacking front. Increasing their bid for Antony. I know there are going to be Man United fans who are frustrated by that. I know there are going to be Man United fans who look at this as panic still. As in, we know we wanted him, but the amount of money we're now willing to pay, the pressure is on for this player to deliver. And look, does he get a season to settle? Of course he does. He'll always get that season from Man United fans to settle. But he will get about 2 games tops from rival fans, maybe 3 or 4 games top from the media. You already look at someone like Lisandro Martinez. The media has given him 0 time to settle. Rivals, 0 time to settle. Man United being a fallen giant, we're a terrible team right now, but we're still the most famous team in England. And when we play, everybody cares. When we play, everybody watches. When we play, everybody's commenting. That pressure is very hard for players. Coming in on an 80 million euro plus deal, when there are alternatives that are more than half the price, is only going to intensify that pressure. And it's something that I just hope and pray as a United fan that he's able to handle. But it makes me very, very nervous about the deal. I'm not going to lie. Makes me very, very nervous indeed. It truly, truly does. Um, let's go to some of your comments that are coming through here. We are talking later on the show about Aubameyang to Chelsea, the bid that's come in. Casemiro to Chelsea. They are now seemingly in that race. Plus, anything else you guys want to talk about. And we are going to take your calls this morning. Remember, by the way, 6 p.m. tonight, the Top 6 show is back. You have to be there. There's no reason to not be there and ready and available for the Top 6 show. Make sure you are there. Ginger Fury here says Anthony is panic. Don't want to lose control spin. What do you mean by that? I kind of get what you mean by panic, but when you say the control spin, I'd love to know what you mean by that, my friend. I'm just a little bit confused, but I do think there's an element of panic in this buy. I really do. Morning, Terry. We need to keep our neck on the Glazers. Do you mean your foot on their neck? That's the phrase. You got to keep our foot on their neck of the Glazers. They will spend a lot now, and fans need to keep the pressure on. We're almost at the end. We absolutely do. And remember, it wouldn't surprise me. I haven't checked. Let me just check now. With Man United's takeover bid being reported, it wouldn't surprise me. And lo and behold, yesterday it did by 6%. It wouldn't surprise me that the Man United share price would go up, and it is going up. Yesterday, at close of business on the stock market, it grew by a fair bit. And in the morning, when the news broke about Jim Ratcliffe, that's going to give it another boost. Man United share price is on the rise because of the thoughts of the takeover. People will start investing in it when it's at its lowest in history, because if the takeover happens, the share price will rise and people will make a profit. However, a lot of the shares, don't be surprised, it will be the Glazers buying a lot of these shares back as well, because they know the share price is going to rise. They will then get it. Maybe it rises to 15, 16, 17, 18, $20. If they've bought hundreds of millions of pounds worth of shares in the next few days, they can then resell those shares. They can sell those shares and make themselves a profit. Keep the pressure on the neck, absolutely. If he doesn't like life at Chelsea, he's going to hate life at Man United, is what Sareem Iqbal's got to say about Mr. Christian Pulisic there. And if I was United, I'd go for Gakpo. Less risk for better output, is what Gerard L's got to say there. And listen, I think a lot of people agree with you. I think a lot of people agree with you. There is a lot less risk. Lynn here says, Terry, the difference between Arsenal and Man United is the player we are bringing in want to be at Arsenal, and Man United are just going for who is free and high wages. Well, this is what's interesting. I keep seeing a lot of comparisons, Man United's rebuild versus Arsenal's rebuild. And and I get there is, because Arsenal are in a really good space right now. But there's kind of like this element of arrogance that Arsenal are buying the right kind of players and Man United are not. And there's a few Arsenal fans who I've held back from calling out online, because I'm saving it to when I'm on stream with them and I'll cook them. Because I remember what they were saying in the early stages of Arsenal's rebuild, and that's basically we have to take what we can get. We're not going to sign all the right players straight away. We've got to take what we can get as we slowly thrust the deadwood out and slowly bring in the players that the new manager wants, because it's going to take time to rid the club of all the bad habits of the past 15 years. That's what Man United are going to have to do. There's a lot of confusion at Man United at the moment, though, because no one believes there will be a rebuild, because they've promised it this 3 or 4 times before. So you've almost got this conflicting argument going on. What's going on right now is probably expected in a rebuild if one really existed. But equally, at the same time, we've been here before where we thought, well, we knew this would be a struggle at the beginning of the rebuild, but we'll get there in the end, and we don't know if we will. It's why I say this to all football club fans. Whether you believe there's a genuine rebuild happening at Man United, or whether you think this is all smoke and mirrors, you should just equally be keeping your foot on the club's owners' necks until things are right. That way, you're not going to kind of make mistakes. I heard a Ricky Gervais joke recently where he was talking about how he got into a conversation with someone who was like, they think the power of prayer can help cure somebody from a serious illness. And he was like, he's an atheist. And he's like, I thank people that pray for people that in my life that are real. He said, but like, keep praying, but let's keep the treatment going as well. And that's how I feel about Man United. We can keep praying and hoping that we're going to get it right, but we've got to keep that pressure. We've got to keep the process. We've got to keep the boycotting of merchandise on the owners so that we ensure that whatever happens, we're not resting on our laurels. Man United fans have done this too often, where we start to see maybe a little bit of change. We start to see a few things go the way we want, and then we go straight back to 100% full support, cheering for the club, buying the merch, going to games, and then the club go, haha, got them. And that's where we need to be careful. But very good comment there, Lynn. Very good comment indeed. Super chat here says, I don't care if Man United sign Antony, De Jong, Casemiro, even sell Maguire. This ownership needs to go now. It's a golden opportunity. It's now or never. Glazers buying Antony is a distraction from problems. Okay, I hear what you're saying. Now, it isn't. He was a player that the club wanted, so it would be a primary target landed. Great. But that doesn't mean Man United fans should take the foot off the neck. That's the way around you do it. Almost let them know, whatever you do for me, I'll say thanks for the player, but I'm not changing my mind about you. It's as simple as that. You know, I look at it this way. It doesn't matter what the Tory government does, good or bad, I will vote them out. I will. They could literally today come up with a great policy and process that makes the energy prices for all people over the age of 60 half the price, a third of the price, 1/6, like literally like 7/8 of the price cheaper. I'm still voting them out. It's not going to change. That's the way you got. That's the energy that you got to keep. But do me a big favor this morning, people. The likes are atrocious right now. Get those goddamn likes up. Past 1,000, we give away free memberships. I always say this to the Football Terrace community. How many other platforms are giving you out free membership? How many are doing it? How many are giving you stuff away for free? Very, very few. Just smash the like button for us and get that done. This morning, I know people still hit like buttons for if they like the stories that are being discussed. It's kind of weird for me. It's not how I do usually. Anyone I like, I just hit the like button every time. That's my way. But thank you all very much for doing that. United need a culture change. High value signings doesn't guarantee and shift the mentality. No, listen, of course it doesn't. And that's why the pressure must remain at all times. You're beyond spot on. You're absolutely beyond spot on. And nobody can argue with the point that you're making there because you are completely and utterly right. That's it. You just are. GB here says, personally, I'd fly over to the Antony. Sorry, personally, I would personally fly Antony over to the UK as an Ajax fan for 80 million. You lot are crazy. Not going to lie, Terry, is what GB has got to say here. And that's my fear with this is that Man United overpay for the player. A player that isn't worth that amount of money, Man United end up spending that amount of money on. That has always been and always will be more of my fear than anything else. Terry, my cousin bought me 2 Man United shirts. I'm a Milan fan and I like United. So the Glazers can continue at United by giving them more money. The hate is real. It is. But you've got to remember, every rival in the country could go out and buy Man United shirts. That would make headline news. It would still be detrimental to Manchester United. It would make the club more of a joke. It would make less people invest. And it would make sponsors walk away because it isn't just the buying of the shirt that's important. It's the wearing of the shirt. Football fans don't realize they are essentially walking billboards for their football club. You walk around in that shirt. And I give you Man United shirt this year is nice, especially the white away kit. People see it and go, oh, I like that. I might go and buy it. Football clubs invented the idea of, well, I think they took the idea from American sport, to be fair, but they took the idea of creating replica shirts so that people would see it, like it, and want to go and buy it as well. It's the whole point. It's why organizations, when you buy things from shops, started to remember back in the day, everyone's got the same colored carrier bags. Then shops started making their own carrier bags that had the company name and logo on. Oh, that's interesting. We had this idea when I worked at Phones for You, and we wanted in the local mall that I worked in, shopping center, we wanted more people to come to our shop. There was a market stall twice a week, markets that opened twice a week in the middle. And I went and spoke to all the market stall holders and said, guys, don't buy any more plastic bags. We'll provide them to you. So every market stall had Phones for You bags. So what would happen on the Tuesdays and the Fridays when the market was on is hundreds of people would be walking around the mall with, it might be apples in a bag. It could be new underwear. It could be, I don't know, a toy for their pet. But there were all hundreds of people walking around with Phones for You bags. What subliminal message does that send, or direct message does that send to all the shoppers? It sent the message of, oh, Phones for You must be doing something good. Let me go and check them out. So our foot flow increased by over 35%, meaning we'd sell more contracts, we sold more phones. I made more bonus. My manager was happy. It's a very simple sales technique. And that's my point to football fans. It isn't just the initial buying, it's the wearing of the shirt, the advertising of the shirt, the sharing of the brand. If rivals went and bought all the shirts, it would still impact Man United because nobody would be walking around in the new shirts. A Liverpool fan could buy 100. He ain't going to wear it. And if Liverpool fans went that far, they would never go that far. That's my point to people. That is the point, my friend. And listen, that's why when it comes to this, the financial tackles on this situation, that's why I know I'm right. Why? Because it's business 101. It's business 101. Sky Sports will not let a Man United fan go onto their channel and start publicating the boycotting of kits, the boycotting of the ground, or even the cancellation of subscriptions to watch it on television. They will challenge you on that all day long because they need fans in kits. They need fans at games for the atmosphere through TV. And of course, they need you subscribing to TV. That's why the big outlets don't push it, because it impacts their bottom line as much as it does Manchester United's. So why that notion gets shut down by people. Simple as that. But look, let's move on to the Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang situation. I want to speak about that with you all today. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, a £22 million offer has reportedly been made by Chelsea to Barcelona for Aubameyang. Now, this is a player that they've been chasing, not for the entire summer, but for a period of time now. And it's a really, really interesting situation. It truly is, because the player is kind of 50-50 on this. He isn't against the idea of joining Chelsea. He's got no issue with joining Chelsea. It's just he doesn't know if he wants to leave. We know how good a goal scorer he is. We know he's a very good football player. Yes, we didn't see the best of him in his last kind of 6 to 12 months at Arsenal because he just was unhappy. He wanted to leave. He wanted Champions League football. He wanted to be part of something new, wanted to be part of something different. And he very much got that at Barcelona. I think he's got 11 goals in 17 league games, something along those lines, and was phenomenal. But we know that Barcelona still need, whether they want to admit it or not, Barcelona still need to sell players. Barcelona still need to move people on. This has to happen. And I don't think anybody's going to convince anybody, even Barca fans in their heart of hearts, they can read the PR spin. They need to sell players, and this could happen. Now, £22 million is an absolute steal for a born, out-and-out goal scorer. Does that guarantee that Aubameyang is going to be successful at Chelsea? Of course it doesn't. Only a fool would say 110% he's going to score, he's going to deliver, he's going to be the guy, as it were. This is it. You can predict that he's going to flop. But as a signing at £22 million at his age, fitness levels are still there, still in good shape, still able to put the ball in the back of the net at the highest level, as we've seen, doing a struggling Barca. He could be such a good band-aid, such a good plaster, such a good makeshift for Chelsea for a year or two. Werner didn't work, Lukaku didn't work, and Thomas Tuchel needs a player that he can trust. And that's why I think this deal for Chelsea is so important, because it's someone that Tuchel has a great relationship with, knows is going to come in and work hard. And if Aubameyang's happy, and if Aubameyang is working hard, and if Aubameyang is bought into the ideas of the manager, and it's believed he would be with Thomas Tuchel due to their history, you've got a dangerous, dangerous striker in your grasp. The Fofana deal looks like it's going to happen. You bring in Aubameyang. All Chelsea then need is a midfield option, and they are ready to go for this season. Are they the complete article? Is the squad exactly 110% where the Chelsea fans want it to be? No, there's still room for improvement, but it's a very, very good squad. A world-class manager. You'd be adding some goals. You'd be adding some more stability at the back. And if you add that midfielder in as well, it gives you those options, especially with Kante just looking, look, when he's fit, he looks brilliant still, but his body can't stay fit. You know, this is an absolute deal that one will propel Chelsea into third position, in my opinion. My predictions would change. And of course, from a rival point of view, he's going to really trigger and upset Arsenal fans. And I don't think any Gooner is going to lie about that. I think Gooners in their heart of hearts know that if this deal goes through, if Aubameyang becomes a Chelsea player, there is fear there. There's always fear when one of your players rejoins a rival after recently leaving your football club. The same way as Arsenal fans were, I don't want to use the word panicky, but it's the word that comes to mind. You know, Arsenal fans were panicky when, forget his name. Arsenal fans were panicky when Cesc Fabregas joined because, oh, you know, we had a chance to bring him back. We didn't do it. Why didn't we do it? And, you know, there's always fear. There's always concern. There's always worries. There's always like elements of you know, frustrations around those types of things. But as I say, I think that, you know, we're kind of moving into a world and moving into a situation now where Chelsea need to get serious in terms of improving their attackers. This will send shockwaves through Arsenal. It will make Chelsea more potent. It will increase their chances of top four. It even gives them an opportunity to really close that gap upon Liverpool and City. And of course, Chelsea have started the season much better than Liverpool and have already got a very slight advantage at this early stage. Comment here says Giroud, remember Terry. Yeah, Olivier Giroud going to Chelsea is a prime example of what we're speaking about here. A very, very, very good piece of business this would be. Gerard here says Aubameyang would be fantastic for Chelsea. With their current recruitment of younger players, Aubameyang would make sense for the immediate future, both developmental and in terms of what's needed on the pitch. It is very good. And then what it does, it gives Broja support. It gives Broja support in the sense of he will. I just want to make sure I say this in the right way. It gives him support in relation to not needing to be the star man. I think turning around to young Broja and saying, you are the lead striker for Chelsea now, at this moment, could be too much pressure, especially when he goes through a lull and a poor patch. Having Aubameyang as the main man with young Broja as the backup, the heir to the throne, is sensible business. It really, really is. I think that's a very, very good comment that you've made there, my friend. Strikers going to Chelsea won't end well. Sutton, Crespo, Lukaku, Shevchenko, Werner. Yeah, I get that. They haven't. Lots of them have failed. Lots of the irony in that is so many of those strikers were signed weren't for the manager they fouled for, or the manager didn't want them. This is why I'm intrigued to see what the first striker signing under the Bowley Group does, where it's the manager, outright the manager picking that player. You know, you got to remember most of the players that Tuchel has been using at Chelsea haven't been his signings. Hi, Terry. I'm elated about Jim Ratcliffe and the consortium, but there is a small part of my brain that questions if this is another Mike Ashley. Did you watch my video from last night? Very quickly on this, it's impossible for these guys to come in and not make Man United successful. It's an impossibility. Impossibility. And I'll tell you why a little bit later on in the stream. We're going to keep it on Chelsea for now, but I'm going to come back to that a little bit later in the show. Crespo did well at Chelsea. Mourinho didn't want him. Yeah, listen, and he did okay. Mourinho just didn't want him. You know, Drogba did well. The two strikers I remember you guys signing that you really wanted in the Roman era, Drogba, Diego Costa, the managers wanted, and they both did brilliantly. So many of Chelsea strikers were bought and then just weren't wanted. It's kind of weird to me why that happens so regularly. It really, really did. Now we have a comment here that says, any news on midfielder? Listen, I mean, Chelsea's midfield on a midfielder. Look, Chelsea's midfield options are interesting because Chelsea have now joined, according to reports, the race for Casemiro. Now, Man United have seemingly offered somewhere in the region of £400,000 a week to try and sign him. Now, what's intriguing about that as a deal is, and I want to say this in the right way, is that I think Chelsea could get him a lot cheaper because they've got Champions League football. There does appear to be some credence in Man United. Credence ain't the right word. There does appear to be some concrete validity in Man United's approach, in Real Madrid being open to it if the player wants to leave. And there is a thought that because a club like Man United might double his wages, this is seen as a bit of a retirement package. That's fearful for a lot of people because when you think retirement package, you think Willian going to Arsenal and it just being a joke of a signing. But Chelsea coming in for Casemiro feels a little bit different. Now, in terms of Bronco van der Boomen, I don't know really too much about that at all. If I'm being honest, I've seen his name come up on the timeline in the last few days, but I didn't click on the links to see what it was talking about. But in terms of Chelsea, I'm asking you, I'm talking about this because you're a Chelsea fan asking the question. The Undertaker, one of our members as well, is I kind of look at this from the situation of Chelsea could take Casemiro from Man United if he decides to leave Real Madrid, that is. And that's like a lot of these. It's a bit like the De Jong deal. If De Jong decides to leave, if his deferred wages are sorted, Chelsea would win him over Man United easily. Casemiro would be the same situation. Better club, as in better situation now, better manager, better squad. New owners are in, fresh new direction the club is going in. So many more reasons to become a Chelsea player right now than there is a Manchester United player. So, yeah, again, it's one of those things, but I'm not 100% sold on Man United buying Casemiro, not from how good the player is, but from the motivations to join the club. Would it actually work? But if Chelsea go in for him, I mean, imagine that. In the last 2 weeks of the window, Chelsea signed for Fofana, Aubameyang, Casemiro. You add that to Cucurella, to Koulibaly, to Raheem Sterling. Those 6 players, plus the plethora of young talent you've signed, Conor Gallagher and Broja being back in the team. I cannot for the life of me understand for a single moment why Chelsea at any point this year have been written off. The writing off of Chelsea has to be, in my humble opinion, one of the most delusional takes, one of the most delusional opinions I have ever heard from football fans. There is no logic to it. There is no precedent for it. There is nothing to suggest that this Chelsea team were going to struggle as bad as people said. I think it's a fair point to say I don't think they'll win the league. But I've heard people say miss out on top 4 by 10, 15, 20 points. I don't know what these people are drinking, what they are smoking, what they are eating, whether it's been the recent heat wave. I don't know what has happened in their lives, but to think that about Chelsea Football Club, in my opinion, is one of the worst football takes in the history of social media. I've never seen a take as bad as that. And the way they've started these first 2 games of the season when they haven't even completed their squad for a team that's quote unquote not ready is crazy. I do think too much has been placed on everybody's individual preseasons this year. And I think it's just, I just think it's crazy. I really, really do. And yeah, listen, I'm not calling Igal crazy. Or I just saw a comment there about Patrick as well. Someone said, "Cough, cough, Patrick." I can't find the comment now. It isn't really about what Igal or Patrick have said. They've said it, but I've seen many, many more people. By the way, they all think I'm delusional for saying that. It's funny, really, because like, someone said, "Oh, you should like." I get Arsenal fans that call me out for saying Chelsea are really good. They say I don't know ball, and then I'll say, "Well, I did predict Arsenal coming third." They're like, "Oh, well, maybe you do know something." I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. I really, really do. Bowley is letting proven Premier League managers go in for players linked to other clubs, and then Bowley makes a pounce. Shrewd businessman. He's a shrewd businessman. He really, really is. People didn't realize Tuchel was the reason Rudiger and Christian were good, not the other way around. Of course. I said this so many times about so many times I've said this about the situation with like Rudiger. I don't think Rudiger is anywhere near as good as people think. I think his price tag and the money he was asking for was ridiculous. Thomas Tuchel's system made him that good. He's very good. The system made him look world class. Real Madrid fans are going to find that out this year. They're going to see a lot of mistakes from him, especially if they're not. Because like Real Madrid, for me, I didn't look at them even last year as barring when they played Liverpool. The only team in the Champions League they played where they looked defensively strong the whole game was Liverpool, which was crazy because Liverpool on paper were better than PSG, Chelsea, and Man City. Well, Man City, maybe not Man City, but like the other two. And Liverpool barely created them a problem. But Real Madrid are not that strong defensively. And I think that in terms of the unit, and I think that there'll be a little bit of exposure of Rudiger this year. But we will see. We will see. We will see. As an Arsenal fan, I think Aubameyang will flop at Chelsea. Sorry, as an Arsenal fan, people that think Aubameyang will flop at Chelsea are deluded. Aubameyang better than all of Chelsea's attackers, but I feel at one point he will upset the manager, but I don't see him giving up the Barca dream. Listen, I understand that. I think it's all about how the idea is sold to Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. So, listen, Barca have signed some quality players. Barca are looking to get back to the top. Barca are looking to rejuvenate themselves, as it were. Why would you not want to be there for that? Well, I'll tell you what, you may not want to be there for it because you're going to be playing second fiddle to Robert Lewandowski. Aubameyang is going to be starting those games against the bottom teams in La Liga when they're resting the first team squad for a big Champions League game or a big La Liga game a few days ago. Aubameyang could be the main man at Chelsea. Chelsea are better than Barcelona currently. Chelsea have a better chance of winning the Champions League. They don't have as good a chance of winning the league title because there's only one team really above Barca that can do that at the moment, in my opinion, in the Liga. But from a Champions League point of view, Chelsea are a better team, more capable team. And in my view, over the next 2 to 3 years, have more chance of winning it than Barcelona. As much as Barcelona have done good business, there's still a hell of a lot of transition and gelling of that team together to make it work. So, there are things you could sell to Aubameyang to get him to go to Chelsea over that of staying at Barcelona. But it's a tough sell. It's a very, very tough sell. You're probably going to have to increase the wages slightly and, make him that star, that central figure that he really wants to be. Plus, he does have a sensational relationship with Thomas Tuchel. Terry, you were wrong. Real Madrid were not good against Liverpool. They won because they took their chances and Liverpool didn't take their own. Yeah, in fairness, you're probably right about that. Now reflecting on it, Courtois did make 3 or 4 bloody good saves, didn't he? He did. But what I mean is they didn't, and you've got to understand the way I'm going to say this. The way Chelsea and PSG and City at times took Real Madrid apart, they were exploiting holes and mistakes and just poor play in positions. Liverpool, it wasn't really like that. Like it was just Liverpool really good in the approach. They just couldn't finish their dinner, and the goalie was very, very good. But they looked really good as a unit, Real Madrid, for the majority of that game. That was more my point. So I probably didn't explain that very, very well. So very good challenge there, Remy. You are right. I get what you're saying, actually. So yeah, I take back what I said and I reiterate it in a different way. That was only my view. Maybe that's my reflection looking back because they won. But I don't know. I never really. It seems weird, even though they said there's chances. I never really felt like Liverpool were peppering them. That's just how it felt watching it to me. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people see it very differently to me. But that's the beauty of football, isn't it? We all see things slightly different. But there we go. However, trust me, Rudiger will be exposed a few times this year anyway. I think I do. A few people saying that Liverpool did but didn't take their chances. Maybe it's because Liverpool just opened them up and it felt more of an organic attack rather than Real Madrid leaving acres of space. Not like I remember in the PSG game up until their comeback, like Real Madrid weren't pressing, they weren't stopping anything. It just felt really different to me. But maybe that's just my perception. And by the way, I wasn't attacking Liverpool. I was just sort of stating that's how it felt on the night to me. But we'll move on from that. Kind of worried about Pulisic because if we let him leave, then Cho and Ziyech leave. Now we have the opposite problem, not enough attackers. Like, I don't think a world will happen where Pulisic, Ziyech, and Callum Hudson-Odoi all leave this summer without another player or two coming in. But what you could find happens at Chelsea is 2 of them leave. Aubameyang comes in and you sign someone, I don't know, a Pedro Neto. You sign a Gakpo. You bring somebody else in of that kind of ilk. So I wouldn't say it's the end of the world if you don't kind of go out and get that done. Sirium here says we were robbed in the final. Robbed because of great goalkeeping is what's happening there. Or maybe you're right. Maybe it's going to be Anthony Gordon at 50 million. 50 million pound Anthony Gordon into Chelsea. That could happen. That could happen. That could happen. But we will see. We will see. We will see. Do me a big favor this morning, people, and smash the like and the share button. Also, make sure you're scanning the QR code on the screen and downloading your OneFootball app. I speak about this many times with OneFootball. It's one of the best one-shot stops for football news, football statistics. It's a great place to go to check out, pre-match, post-match statistics, as we've already mentioned. But on top of that, great opinion, transfer news in there as well. We also know that Serie A games, 1 per week, are being streamed live. There's lots of highlights and clips from league and football all around the world. Plus, they make their own content as well, talking about football across multiple leagues. Really go and download OneFootball at the end of this stream or scan the QR code on the screen now. Get it done, get it dusted. Fantastic organization. And they're good people over there as well. I like working with them. So make sure you are getting that done. Aaron here says, give Everton Batshuayi and Gilmore 25 to 30 million for Gordon if Tuchel wants him. There are options here, as you say, that I think Chelsea will go in with. I don't think they'll pay £50 million cash, but I do think there's an opportunity here for Chelsea. The disabled team here says, great show, Terry. Love the content as always. Not a problem, my friend. Thank you very much for all tuning in as ever. It always means a great, great deal to me that so many of you tune in and watch every single day. I find it very, very humbling indeed, because I'm just merely a normal person like each and every single one of you. Fofana, Aubameyang, and Gordon are the three signings Tuchel will get over the line. Ziyech and Odoi to leave. Listen, you know what's funny really about the Anthony Gordon thing? Anthony Gordon, if he goes to Chelsea, will have, in my opinion, a better Chelsea career than Callum Hudson-Odoi. Callum Hudson-Odoi is a player that I was screaming to see more of. Screaming. Got to play more. I want to see him start more. This kid had bags of potential, so much ability. But he doesn't have any output. And when you're an attacker, I know people go, stat merchant. Stat merchant. It's not about being a stat merchant. There's no point twining a man up on the left, silking a man up on the right, putting a player on his bum, getting the ball to the byline, and then overhitting your cross. You are a lingerie shop without a window. Pointless. No one's going to see what you are. No one's going to go in. Having all them skills, all them techers, all of that ability, and then at the end of it, not creating enough chances and not scoring enough goals is a lingerie shop without a window. And Chelsea need to improve on that. Anthony, how many games has Hudson-Odoi played? I don't even know how many games he's played. This wasn't on the agenda for today, but let's just look at it. He's got to have played over 100 games for Chelsea. Simply has to have done. I can't imagine a world where he hasn't played that many games for Chelsea. Let's have a little look at what he's delivered for the football club. For all the skills, for all the ability that he's got, what has he actually gone and delivered for Chelsea Football Club? And I want to get the stats and the facts here to kind of get this, to make sure this is right. So if you look at him as a Chelsea player, still young, by the way, at 21, but he has played 126 games for Chelsea. He doesn't have bad outputs, 22 assists, 16 goals. But you're going to be wanting a lot more from him. And if you go back to last season, and I know that, by the way, injuries are a part. If you're injured all the time, that's an issue for you. Last year, just 3 goals and 6 assists isn't really the standard that you would expect when you're at a Chelsea Football Club as well. You go back to the previous season, it was a little bit better, I believe. I was waiting for this to load up here. 5 and 5. Now, over the last few seasons, there just isn't enough goals and there just isn't enough assists coming in there from him. If you give Anthony Gordon 126 games, I believe he scores more and assists more goals than Callum Hudson-Odoi at Chelsea. I believe he'll have a better individual career at Chelsea than him. I really do. And I feel a bit sorry for Hudson-Odoi because he is a player that I like. He is a player that I rate. He is a player that I rated and I thought really had a future. But he just isn't that guy. And that isn't a dig. That isn't a knock. That isn't me trying to, attack him and making him feel bad. He just isn't that guy. And this has happened so much in the Premier League. This has happened so much in the Premier League. It really, really has. Interestingly, Anthony Gordon, I mean, you can't even compare the quality of Everton versus Chelsea. But he has got 12 goals and assists in 62 games. So that's sort of like 19. In 19% of his games, he's scoring and assisting, which isn't great for outputs. It really, really isn't. But you are talking about a player that's played half the amount of games. And of course, he's playing for a much worse team. You look at Callum Hudson-Odoi, and I want to make sure I'm being fair here. I just want to look at it on a percentage level. 16 plus 22 divided by 160. Sorry, 16 plus 22, 38 divided by 126. Callum Hudson-Odoi is around 30%. So people will say, oh, he's twice as efficient. I think if you put Antony into a Chelsea team, being fed balls from your midfield and playing up front with Aubameyangs and Raheem Sterlings and whoever else over the past few years, has a higher ratio than 30% outcome. You know, in more than I reckon it'll be so. I reckon it'll be between 50 and 60% efficiency. Maybe not as high as 60, 45 to 50% efficiency. I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar for Chelsea. I'm not saying that Anthony Gordon is going to be a world-class player for Chelsea. But I think he'll be more efficient and have more output and produce more for Chelsea Football Club than Callum Hudson-Odoi did. That isn't a dig at Hudson-Odoi. It's just stating that football clubs cannot be overly sentimental in the wrong areas. There are elements of football clubs that should be completely sentimental. How you treat club legends, how you feel about a player that's given you so much of their career. You should always be sentimental about them to a degree. But when it comes to your team winning in the here and now in the contemporary sense, loyalty is overrated. You should never be overly loyal to any player if they're not delivering for your football club. Now, thinking whether you think that means Anthony's going to be better than him or not, Anthony Gordon's going to be better than him or not is irrelevant. It doesn't even matter. The fact is that a player on the money that Hudson-Odoi is being paid, having a 30% efficiency as an attacker is awful. Chelsea needs to be aiming for all their attackers to be in the 60% plus margin. 60% plus margin has to be the aim. Has to be the aim for elite level football players. It simply does. Anthony is better than Callum Hudson-Odoi, in my opinion. No doubt, is what Deepak has got to say here. According to reports, Chelsea have had a rejected bid for Marcus Llorente. That's an interesting one. Just don't see 50 million for Anthony happening. Yeah, I think there'll be players involved. I don't think there'll be a straight out 100% sort of swap, as it were. I do agree with you on that, my friend. I really, really do. Do me a big favor and keep smashing that like button. If you're watching on Twitter still, please give it a retweet. The retweet button is so underutilized on Twitter these days. Everyone hits the like button. It's crazy. Hit that retweet button for us this morning, my people. That's really, really important to us. And also make sure you're following our Twitch account. We have a lot of exclusive content now, almost every day being made on Twitch that you won't see on YouTube, you won't see on Twitter, you won't see on Facebook. It's exclusive with Twitch. Go into the link in our description below or just search the Football Terrace on Twitch and make sure you're following it over there. We have club-specific podcasts, Midnight Vibes is back, and all on our exclusive Twitch account. So make sure you're over there and you're doing that as well. I'm going to open up the lines if anybody wants to phone in this morning and have their say regarding these big transfer stories. What have I just done there? I've hit the wrong button. I hate when I do that. Right. There we go. Boom. I'm going to share the call-in link now if you want to come on and you want to have your say on the Football Terrace this morning. What we're doing likewise right now, 500, nearly on 600 likes, which is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Lynn here says, Terry Aubameyang, after all the talk about Barca wanting Obama and Obama wanting Barca, for me, I think that Xavi has now seen him and hasn't lived up to Xavi's expectations. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it's partly that, but they've just gone and got Robert Lewandowski. Lewandowski versus Aubameyang isn't a competition. It really isn't a competition. And they bought a heavyweight, and Aubameyang's a super middleweight. He's a heavy hitter, can knock people out, quality fighter, but he ain't a heavyweight. And that's what there's only 3 or 4 players in the world that can stand shoulder to shoulder currently with Lewandowski. Benzema, but Barca aren't signing him. You've got Harry Kane, you've got Mbappe, and you've got Haaland, in my opinion. There's like 5 players that you would look at and go that are in that ballpark. Everybody else is as a striker is a level below, in my opinion. I've kind of left Messi and Ronaldo out because they're just aliens. I don't even like putting them in those conversations, but there we go. Terry, you are one of the true content creators who isn't scared to be wrong and own up. Yeah, listen, it's one of them ones. It is what it is. If you're wrong about something or you say something and then someone comes out with a better point, it's like, that's right. Yeah, you're right, actually. Maybe I got that wrong. Maybe I'm thinking about it from the wrong angle. Yeah, there's no need. I mean, I believe my own opinions are right until I'm shown they're wrong. It's a real simple logic I follow. Have to judge Callum Hudson-Odoi on minutes, not games. No. I know he's had his injury problems, okay, but there's a reason that he doesn't get a lot of minutes under Thomas Tuchel, and that's because he hasn't been good enough. Yes, I think he had the Achilles tendon injury last year, if I'm not mistaken, and of course that kept him out for a period of time. But that was the only injury he had last year, and that was March till the end of April. So he did miss the last 2 months, predominantly the last 2 months of the season. But what about the beginning of the season and the middle of the season? The previous people keep talking about injuries. He had that big Achilles tendon rupture back in the 2018-19 season. We're now in 2022. He did have 4 injuries the following campaign, but only 1 injury in the 2020-21 season. Only 1 injury. And that only kept him out, and I'm reading here, that only kept him out for 16 days. He's had 2 injuries in the last 2 seasons. You know, he's only missed 18 games through injury. 14 were last season, to be fair. The previous year, 4. He's not getting the minutes because the manager doesn't trust him. He isn't getting the minutes because the manager doesn't think he's good enough. There is something genuine in this. I swear, I might get this wrong, Chelsea fans. I swear in the FA Cup final, where Lampard was your manager, you had an injury in the warm-up and Hudson-Odoi in the attacking lines, and Hudson-Odoi still didn't come in. This is a fundamental pattern. Fundamental pattern. And I also believe, was it Sarri that gave him the new deal? Maybe it was Lampard. I want someone to clarify that. I can't quite remember. This isn't legitimately, injuries have played a part, but your manager don't trust him. He doesn't. Hudson-Odoi is just a British version of St. Maximin. All tricks and no end product. Simple is what Grimy says. So I think you're right. I hate to say it because, listen, I've got a vested interest in this young man. He's English. He's from my country. He's one of us. He's one of me. I wanted his potential to turn into output. I wanted him to be an England star. I wanted him to help my country win major trophies. I wanted him to help our country get back to the top. So I always think about it from a selfish point of view and then look at it. You know, this guy could have been one of England's greatest players. He had that much ability as a young man. He's not delivering. Maybe a move, maybe a loan away will help him. Maybe that'll improve him. Maybe he'll find himself. But I don't think Thomas Tuchel is doing it. Someone says Hudson-Odoi is he playing for Ghana now? Oh, okay. I didn't realize he'd switched allegiances. I must have missed that. Fair enough. But what I'm talking about, when he came through and when he was oh yeah, it says here. Oh yeah, that's only a few days ago that came out. We'll switch that nationality to Ghana if they see. Did you know what? If they qualify for the World Cup, come on. If you're gonna do it, do it. If you're gonna do it, do it. But I'm not even gonna lie, and this might be controversial to some people, but if Hudson-Odoi would have reached his potential, he'd be in the England squad regularly, and he wouldn't be considering switching allegiance. He's only switching allegiance according to this. This is the headline. I haven't even read the article here from Rahman Usman, but if he's only switching if they qualify, again, I'm reading this. It says here, I'm just reading the headline. I don't know the story here. It says, we'll switch nationality to Ghana if they qualify for the World Cup. This was written on the 8th of August, so maybe something's changed in the last 10 days. If he's gonna switch allegiances because he wants to play for the country of his, origin of his family, then just do it irrespective. But my point still remains, in my opinion, if he'd have reached his full potential, he'd be playing for England. And if he was playing for England, I don't think he'd be switching nationalities. That's my view. Fair play to him. If he wants to do that, no issue to me. That's what you want to do with your career. That's the country you want to go and play for. And Ghana could do with some new players. Like when I was growing up, Ghana had a fantastic national team. Really, really did. There's some star players in there. And yeah, if he does that, then fair play to him. But the point is, it's not going to make me change my mind. When I was younger, when he was younger, I really wanted him to do well because I thought he could have been fantastic for England and whatever else. And we'll see what he does with the rest of his career. We're going to take a call now from my guy, Matt, big Chelsea fan, coming on to have his say on the show this morning. Welcome back to the terrace, mate. What do you want to say?
No, big up, Terry, big up. I think, your thoughts on Cho as well. It's the same. It mirrors to us Chelsea fans that he's not good enough, unfortunately. He's not this player that we all expected. Under Sarri, before the injury, I thought this guy was going to be a magician, man. I thought he was going to be something special. Unfortunately, he has not proceeded anything since that injury, and I hope he can go on loan or even sell him if we get a great opportunity. For the sake of his career, I don't think he'll ever fit at Chelsea, like a lot of these Chelsea players. But I'll talk quickly about Anthony Gordon as well, and as we can say, I don't know if that news is happening too much. I'm not sure if you're discussing it, but Anthony Gordon is a player I personally don't see fit for Chelsea at the moment. I think he's got great talent in the future. That's, again, something that we don't really need. We need someone to come in and produce numbers in immediate effect. And like Aubameyang, I think we discussed it last week, will be someone that is not priority, but it's someone that can bring in goals. You saw on the weekend how many times, I counted probably 3 or 4 times when we'll get a ball in the box. The main one was the Havertz miss right in front of goals, where Reece James gave this cross from who knows where, like out of nowhere, just gave a fantastic cross. There's no one ever to finish the product. We need someone to come in and finish the product. And Aubameyang, despite how old he is, maybe how bad he was in the Prem, that's someone who can finish goals. And I'm really looking forward to see what Tuchel does with these players. If we can get Wilfried Zaha, we get Aubameyang, just someone to come in and finish these goals. I'm not scared of them coming in and them flopping. I just want someone to come in and bang goals. If they don't, that's why we're paying a small price, and then they can leave after if we get a short-term contract. But let's not go and spend big money for Anthony Gordon, who we hope can become good, because his stats aren't the best. Him playing, he's got a different play style. He reminds me of the White Hudson-Odoi, in my opinion. So I wouldn't go and press big money for a player that I don't really see fit. Maybe in the future he becomes a better player, but at this very moment, I would say no.
Listen, I would say this to you. Chelsea seem to be doing something a little different this summer to what we've seen before. There's been a handful of signings who are players that are quote unquote not ready right now. Now, yes, Anthony Gordon is going to be more expensive. It always is when you buy internally from the Premier League. And I don't think that matters whether a player is English, Scottish, French. When you buy internally, especially when they're young, you are getting charged an absolute premium for that player. You've got Casado at Brighton, who's played 20 games in the Premier League, looks very good, but he's very fresh and young. They're talking about 50, 60 million pounds. If Casado was English and somebody wanted to do that after 20 league games, they'd say English tax. I think it happens in general here. But Chelsea are going for two approaches here. They're kind of burning the candle at both ends. They're buying some ready-made players that are ready to go, sign some young players that are ready to go, but they're also investing in your future. And I think for me, this is what's really intriguing about Bowley's approach and Tuchel's approach. They're doing things very differently to how Roman Abramovich did. And I'm intrigued by that. So Anthony Gordon may not be the answer in terms of scoring and assisting lots of goals now, but I think that's what Aubameyang and Raheem Sterling's job is going to be. And then the Gordons and the Broyers, I think these guys are there in the background to be supplementary to your attack, if that makes sense. I think, and by the way, it's exactly what Arsenal have gone and done this year by adding Gabriel Jesus. Jesus is the man to score the goals and be the star attacker. Although they've been the star players the last few years, Martinelli and Bukayo Saka are young. They should be supplementary at that age and not seen as the leading lights. Kids should rarely be seen as the star players of a team. There should always be a fixed core of established professionals who you rely on. And the kids should almost have an element of freedom to develop, go through poor runs without it really affecting the team. That's how some of the greatest young players have been developed, when they're not meant to be the star so early on. Does that make sense? So I think Chelsea have got a very, very good approach there. In terms of Casemiro maybe coming in, would you back that move?
Mate, I love Casemiro. This guy's intensity, his integrity is something we need. I've said it multiple times there. I've said multiple times that we are boys as Chelsea. Chelsea are boys playing in a men's sport. We don't have any aggression. We don't have any intensity. You saw that clash we had at Spurs. The only player I saw backing the manager when there was a clash was Kepa Arrizabalaga, the assistant manager, right? So I need some aggression in this team. I think Reece James is a perfect example. He's fantastic. He's developing aggression. I like to play with these strong players. And Casemiro is a player that takes no shit, right? He's a great player on the pitch as well, but off the pitch as well. His voice and his professionalism as well is what we need. I want someone to come in and demand the ball in that midfield. I want someone to come in to demand our players in that midfield. Something that I respect Azpilicueta. He is a legend in my books, but for me personally, I haven't really seen him as a legend of a captain. I've seen him as a legend on the player, and what he's produced on the field is something that is that I can't really notice. But him as a captain, I don't really see him. I need another captain, someone like Keane. Back in the day, Casemiro reminds me of a Keane. If he was the captain, if he was given the arm badge, I can see him as a Keane. So I will take Casemiro, in a click. He is a cold player. He is a stylish player, and I think we need that experience. Unfortunately, Kante, I can't believe, man. Kante played as a baller on the weekend, and then he got injured with a hamstring. It's unbelievable what we are suffering right now. But I always like Jorginho as well. He's a baller as well. But unfortunately, these guys are getting old. So we would need maybe some young replacements. But we missed out on Nunes. I would prefer a De Jong. My preference would be De Jong. But I would love that Casemiro just for that aggression and that intensity he brings. But I'll quickly just say before I dip, people are off for the Wilfried Zaha move. Wilfried Zaha is a player who has scored more goals than Timo Werner and Kai Havertz combined last season. Wilfried Zaha is a player who can score goals, and I don't want to hear any disrespect from the chat on Wilfried Zaha. He's an absolute baller. The people I think maybe disrespect him was his time at Manchester United, possibly, but at Crystal Palace, I think he's done fantastic. I would take Wilfried Zaha in a heartbeat.
Look, everyone knows my take on Wilfried Zaha.
I know
again, and I won't shy away from it. And I'd say it to his face as well. Like, I don't even mean. I think he's a Premier League player. I think he's a good Premier League player, and I think that's where it stops. We saw even against Liverpool the other night, that finish of his, sensational. He then misses an absolute sitter. And what I mean by that is I think he's a player that would go to Chelsea, and 1 in every 4 games, he is going to look world class. But in the other 3 games, I think he'll have lots of moments where he'll let you down. And I think that what you kind of need is a player you need, again, it's all about cost. If you could go and sign him now for £20 million, 25 million, 30 million at his age, I'd say good deal. Off your bench, impact player, great. But to be a lead player in your team starting, costing you 70, 80 million pounds in the market, I don't think he's good enough. And there's a fine balance between those two things. And
Terry,
yeah.
I was going to say, is he better than Kai Havertz? Is he better than Hakim Ziyech? Is he better than Mason Mount? To me, I'll say yes.
Mate, without a doubt, he's definitely better than those guys. I'm not going to lie about that. Listen, Matt, my guy, thank you very much for coming on and having your say. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you. Some breaking news, people, I want to bring to you right now in relation to Manchester United. I had a text message come through from a journalist that we work with here who's just told me that Man United, Casemiro to Man United is advancing. Man United have told Real Madrid they are prepared to pay 70 million euros for the player and pay the player over 400k per week. 400k per week. Manchester United are willing to pay the player. That is absolutely massive. Next on the show, we are going to get my guy David on. It looks like he's a gooner according to his tag. What you saying, my friend?
Oh, yes, Terry. First time on football, Terry. Love your show, mate.
Appreciate it, brother.
Thanks for getting me on. All right. I want to speak about mentality of players because it seems that that's the route that Arteta and Arsenal have gone down. We've stepped away from flashy names and flashy cars, and we're targeting individuals who have the correct mentality for the squad. I mean,
you all right, mate? David, you okay? I'm not sure what I'm not sure what happened. I'm not too sure what happened there. We can take a different call here. Oba is on the show. What you saying, brother?
Man, what just happened right there?
I have no idea. He wasn't even frozen. His face was moving. I'm not too sure. I hope he's okay. Maybe he got a little bit like, I don't know. But yeah, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. I just had to call in because you're talking about Choi, and like you're a football man, but you're just looking at goals and assists and not also looking at like deeper stats like shot creating actions, chances created. So no. I pull it up. Pull up him versus Pulisic or him versus like Jadon Sancho. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, but listen, bro, but that's why am I doing that? Jadon Sancho has flopped so far at Man United, and Pulisic has flopped at Chelsea. Compare him to peak Raheem Sterling.
But that's the point. Like, okay, should we keep him or sell Pulisic? Like
I said earlier, my friend, I don't think you'll get rid of all of Ziyech, Hudson-Odoi, and Pulisic in one go. I think 1 or 2 may stay, but they are all much of a muchness for me. They have all got, when they're on form, they can all be brilliant. But at the end of the day, none of them are good enough for me, none of them are good enough, whether it be on ability, output, or fitness levels, or a combination of all three, to deliver week in, week out for a top 6 side.
Well, see, I don't think that's. I think that's for Chelsea, like, because I'm a Chelsea fan, and I'm being honest. Like, if you're putting Cho at right wing back, he's not ever gonna reach his full potential because that's not his position, and then he's not naturally like an inside forward either. So like, I think in a different squad, he'd be really good. Like, for example, if he went to Dortmund, or if he went to like even like for example, even Arsenal, I think he would start for Arsenal. Like, he'd be in the squad rotating for sure, because I think it's more so just how we set up and play.
Yeah, listen, I get where you're coming from, but your manager plays him in that position. Your manager doesn't think he's good enough as an attacker at Chelsea.
Well, you can't put him as an inside 10 because, like, honestly, like, if you're looking at because if you want to put him as an inside 10, then you're putting him against Mount and Havertz, and it's like, well, they're more naturally fitted for that position anyways. And then
potentially, but look, we'll see what happens. I mean, the world isn't falling over backwards to try and sign him either. You know, there's no one, Bayern Munich. I think the biggest mistake Chelsea made is not accepting that. What was it 50, 60 million that Bayern wanted?
Yeah.
You should have taken that money and invested it elsewhere.
Potentially. I think so. I think potentially that was a mistake, but I think we could still loan him out, and I think he could have a good loan spell in like Germany or Spain, like even Spain or whatever. Send him anywhere, and I think he would do pretty well.
I hear that.
And then we could sell him for maybe at least like 50 million, or and that's still decent.
I do get that, my friend. Listen, my brother, thank you very much for coming on and having your say. I appreciate it, and all the support. You really do support the Terrace well.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you, my
Okay,
brother. Thank you. Keep up the pressure on United fans. Apollo Global are panicking and deleting comments and reviews. I like. It seems that Chelsea just shadowing what United are doing, then just trying to hijack it, mate. That's good business, Ray. That's good business sense. Julius says Zaha is not a good finisher. He's a good player, but he will not fix Chelsea's attacking issues. Maybe depth is what Julius has got to say there. Listen, my people, top 6 show tonight at 6 p.m. There's still like 2,000 of you watching right now. I want to see you all back. What I'd love to see happen as well, I'm asking here, bang on the dot at 6 p.m. All of you be there right from the off. It's going to be a big, big show tonight, reviewing the transfer market and preparing for another epic weekend of Premier League football, including, of course, Manchester United hosting Liverpool. We're talking the takeover and much, much more. Until next time, big love from me. Take care.